วัสดีค่ะ Competitiveness plays a key role in enhancing a country's growth, and some countries are more competitive than others. How to create competitiveness, and is corruption a big obstacle? I discussed with Professor Garelli from the World Competitiveness Center in Switzerland. Professor, what is competitiveness?
Competitiveness is a formidable tool to reach prosperity. It's a little bit like if you do a salad. First, you need to have the best ingredient in the world, your best salad, the best carrots, the best tomato. Competitiveness is the same thing. You need to have the best ingredient in terms of infrastructure, technology, education, etc. And we compete worldwide for these. But when you have done this, you don't have a salad. You need a dressing. And you need a dressing which is very national. French dressing, Italian dressing, Thai dressing. And I think we look also at competitiveness, how you have this national value, for example, Thailand, which can express its competitiveness best in being really Thai. So we need also to look at the national value system and how the country can be different. What are the brands coming out of Thailand? Mm-hmm. This is very important for us. So there is not one recipe. There is a mini recipe for competitiveness.
But what are the basic factors that comprise competitiveness?
We are looking actually at more than 300 factors, wow, which are regrouped in 4, which is economic dynamism, government efficiency, business efficiency, and infrastructure. Those are the 4 elements of competitiveness, and this is where we compete worldwide to get access to competencies, to resources, etc. But as I mentioned, once you have all these together, you need also to have some kind of national ingredient, to have some kind of specificity for competitiveness. I think we are all looking for something which is specific Thai in terms of products and services, and I think this is where you make a difference.
How to create competitiveness in a country?
I think there are various aspects. The first one is to create a predictable and stable environment. I think that business can adapt almost anything except changes in direction all the time. This was a problem, for example, of a country like India, which has been changing direction all the time, and the business community didn't know whether it was open, closed, closed, open, etc. So predictable and stable environment is very important. Infrastructure is extraordinarily important. Also the connectivity between infrastructure. It's not only the train, the airport, the harbor, it's a connection among the infrastructure. I think we feel that manufacturing and industry, the control of manufacturing and industry is important. It means that you cannot be successful if you lose your manufacturing power. This is a problem of England, for example. Mm-hmm. The UK is a financial power, mm-hmm, but lost the control of manufacturing. I think it's important also to develop small and medium-sized enterprises, which, if possible, have the possibility to develop their own technology and to export. These are few of the issues which are absolutely essential for competitiveness.
What are some of the examples of countries that are successful in creating competitiveness?
In the various elements of competitiveness, you have, for example, when I mentioned the small and medium-sized enterprise, Germany is very good because you see, you find large competitive enterprises in almost every country of the world. Even the poorest country has a very big company at the top. Then you have a lot of people at the bottom, you know, the craftsmanship in the streets. But in between, this is where you make the difference. That's where Germany is making the difference, where Sweden, where a country like mine, Switzerland, has a lot of small and medium-sized enterprise. The second thing is diversity. You need to have a diversity in the industry. If I take my own country, Switzerland, people say Switzerland is about chocolate. Yes, watches.
And watches.
Watches, yeah. Yes. But people forget it's also about food, Nestle, it's also about pharmaceuticals, Novartis, it's also about banking and finance. So actually you see a lot of diversity in competitiveness. So I think managing this diversity is essential in terms of a prosperity of a nation.
Mm-hmm. Which factors are most difficult to actually create? Just now you talk about economic factor, yeah, governance factor, business and infrastructure.
Obviously, the longest one, and perhaps the most important one, is education, because it takes a generation to change the education system and to see the result. It takes also, unfortunately, a generation to see if you have made a mistake in the way you change the system. So I think we are also competing very much with education, and it's not only education at university level. The key issue is secondary school education. That's where you make a difference, because this is where you are going to do the people we're probably going to implement the strategies. We're going to work on quality, on excellence in execution. This is secondary school education, and this is one of the key aspects of competitiveness.
Mm-hmm. Which country or countries in Asia would you pinpoint out as good examples of creating, nurturing competitiveness?
I think every country has a little example relevant to Thailand. There is not one model, as I said. I think, of course, Singapore for the excellence in infrastructure and the connectivity in infrastructure. It's very interesting because it's not only a harbor, it's also information technology, which is linked to the trade in the harbor for custom clearance, etc. So this is very interesting, the linkage, the connectivity. You have Hong Kong for transparency of the government and for the efficiency. For example, the ease of doing business, very good. You have Korea is excellent at its brand management. I mean, they have created commission to manage the brand of Korea and to benefit it elsewhere from the fact that it has a reputation of efficiency, etc. So I think every country has this little thing you can learn of. But at the end of the day, and I go back to my dressing, at the end of the day you have to make your own dressing. You have to make what is Thailand all about and what is enterprise all about in Thailand. Creating Thai brands is probably one of the most important things that can be done for competitiveness.
What about big countries in Asia like China or India?
I think they are in a different ball game because obviously they have a large domestic market. You have also in Thailand, but it is very much outside the urban cities. So I think that China is doing extremely well, but really when we are speaking about China, we're speaking about 400 million people on the east coast of China. The inside of China has not been very much touched. But China will have to deal obviously with some issues with the financial sector and also the imbalance between the cities and the rural sectors. India obviously has a problem of infrastructure, which is huge, and which probably makes it difficult for India to grow as quickly as China today. But there are huge potential markets for everybody.